Today, on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, the crew at MCU prepares Tyler Gorman's fully customized 32-foot Seacraft for its maiden voyage.
I'm impressed. And to say I'm impressed after doing this as much as I've done it, that's something to say.
Florida Sportsman boating editor George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Jimmy Oriol aboard his 1979 Banana River Skiff for a day of sight fishing the flats in Stuart, Florida.
Now, I'd seen pictures of this boat on the forum and I knew he did a great job on it, but what pulled into the parking lot at the boat ramp that day absolutely blew my mind.
And Michelle Shearouse and her family dropped by MCU to speak about fully restoring her classic 18-foot Boston Whaler.
I'm gonna try to discount this thing as best as possible. I wanna do this boat for Michelle.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
All right, now that we've got Tyler's 32 Seacraft all wrapped up and finished and completed from the shop work, it's time to move on and get it clean and detailed. This will be the first time he gets to see this boat looking like brand new and totally immaculate and cleaned to the tens. I can't wait to see his expression.
All right, so the delivery day is coming up quick for Tyler Gorman's 32 Seacraft, so Brian told me to head down to the boat and give it its final clean. As the head detailer, I gotta check every nook, cranny, make sure any blemishes or marks, any grease or caulking, and just totally clean it up for the owner. We don't want him to find anything wrong. Cleaned his windshield, I scrubbed all the decks down, threw some wax on it, and I think it came out really well. So after everyone else gets done in the mad rush, I'm the last person on the boat and make it look 100% for the owner. We want it to look perfect when Tyler comes to visit.
All right, guys, so the moment you've all been waiting for, the 32 Seacraft splash. We finally, after all this time, got this boat wrapped up. And then I get the phone call to tell me that he's gonna be out of town. He's not gonna be able to take delivery of the boat right away. I've got the boat behind the house. Robbie's got it prepped and cleaned. It's all ready to go. It's looking like it wants to be used. So I decided I'll take it out, take my wife and kids out, we'll enjoy the sandbar, and I'll be able to test all the cool features that we did to the boat with my children playing around on it. So from the first moment of putting this boat in the water, I noticed a couple of really cool features right off the bat. Number one is how quiet those new Yamaha engines are. I mean, you got 600 horsepower back there and you don't even realize that they're back there running. Now, as I'm backing this boat up, I'm in a tight spot where my boat lift is located. Having the ability to turn on a bow thruster, I know it sounds a little ridiculous in a 32-foot center console boat, but let me tell you what, I could put this boat anywhere. I could spin this boat around on a dime. Now I'm sitting there idling and I'm pulling out of the pocket, out of the canal, and I'm just realizing some of these really neat features, like the dash panel, and it's just over the top. Everything's strategically placed, and it just works perfectly for you to be standing behind the helm, looking at your GPS, having a glove box off to the right-hand side. I threw my phone in there right away. I plugged it in so it's charging. I had a USB inside. I mean, everything's just perfect. I'm watching my wife and my daughter sit up in the bow of the boat on the forward V seating. You gotta remember, this boat had no seating up there. It was just a big blank canvas. So we customized and built all that seating, not to mention all the custom storage we ended up with, and the nice sounding stereo system. The speakers up there sound incredible. We pulled out to the intercoastal. There's boats everywhere. There's traffic. I lean into throttles because I want to get going. The boat just launches out of the hole. I'm totally excited about the performance. This boat rides like a dream, just as I expected. So as I pull up to the beach, the first thing I do is reach for the windlass buttons. I hit the down button, boom, anchor drops, locked me in, I'm where I need to be. Now I need to get the kids in the water. I simply walk up to the bow of the boat, open up that forward hatch, pull that ladder out, deploy it down. I'm looking at all the people staring, they're like, what is that? What's going on? I can't believe it. And I help the kids get down in the water. It was pretty cool. I designed a cooler in the side of this boat. You're able just to open up and access the cooler in the boat without actually climbing in. So now when the kids want a drink and they want water, they're able just to walk up, open a cooler, grab a drink out. That's a really cool feature also. But we decided instead of just having that door where it was access to go to a cooler, we wanted to be able to dive and swim and get in and out of the boat. So I converted an Armstrong ladder and I built a custom bracket that'll slide and drop down into place and use the same ladder that's on the back of the bracket of the boat, also on the side door of the boat. Now the kids have the ability of swimming up to the side of the boat and actually ingress and egress the boat very easily without too much hassle. From thinking back and Tyler having the original goal of just making a 32+ foot boat easy to get in and out of at the sandbar, I think we nailed it. And after looking back at that day on the boat and enjoying all those features, there's still so many things in this boat that haven't even been explored that I didn't even get to utilize during a day at the sandbar. Like the huge fish boxes that we put in the side decks of the boat. The boat never had that. Not to mention the live well in the back of the boat. The live well is incredible. We put a giant window in there, and I just couldn't help but notice that forward bulkhead that we installed. We all know there's a bunch of wiring back there. Even though Steve does a beautiful job and he's really clean with it, that bulkheaded wall with the studded switches hanging out the front, it just looks really first class. This thing doesn't only look awesome during the day, it looks awesome at nighttime. This thing has lights under the gunnels, it has lights in the bilge so you can see things at night. The dash panel where the name is frosted in. We really went over the top on this boat, and let me tell you what, I'm impressed. And to say I'm impressed after doing this as much as I've done it, that's something to say. This thing's like a crown jewel for me.
When we return, FS Boating editor George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Jimmy Oriol aboard his 1979 Banana River Skiff in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Marine Customs Unlimited. You dream it, we build it.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman Boating editor George LaBonte as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
We found this week's boat in the Florida Sportsman Boating Forum. This is a 1979 Banana River Skiff restoration that was extensively covered within the pages of the forum. This is a historical skiff with a very big backstory that I'm really excited about getting into. There she is.
Hey, good morning.
Jimmy,
Good
George
to see you.
LaBonte, nice to know
meet
you.
George, thank you.
Wow, what a boat, man. Now, I'd seen pictures of this boat on the forum and I knew he did a great job on it, but what pulled into the parking lot at the boat ramp that day absolutely blew my mind. Something I found really impressive about this boat was that Jimmy took a 1979 hull bottom and added a 2017 modern topsize to it. This boat looked like a brand new modern boat above the water, but still retained that classic bottom. Tell me a little bit about how you landed on this boat. I mean, I know there's a little backstory here I need to know about it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it was kind of almost like the find in the shed kind of thing.
Right.
In actuality, I had 2 bay boats from the northern Gulf Coast area. I fished Louisiana and Mississippi quite a bit. And I love that kind of fishing, but I really wanted something I could get on the skinny flats and chase those redfish.
And not many people know what a Banana River Skiff is, but man, that's one of the things that attracted me to the boat and the story is that this boat has got a ton of historical significance.
It really does.
Originally in the 1970s, the Banana River Skiff was built as a guide boat for bone fishermen over in Deepwater Key in Grand Bahama. They needed a boat that was quiet, and the builder of this boat came up with the no-slap hull design that many people copy today.
So George, what do you think so far?
Jimmy, I think this boat is beautiful. In fact, I'd love to have one just like it. That's what I think about it.
Well, you have to get in line because this one's going to stay mine for quite some time. So.
All right. I'll tell you what really stands out about the boat, man, is this thing is incredibly quiet. I mean, it's a little breezy here today. I mean, in the chop, even the running around here, but when we drift and pole, man, it is super, super, super spooky.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
It's one of the things that really surprised me when I first ran the boat. You know, I took it in Louisiana and the marshes a few times, and I was pretty shocked, actually. And that was one of the benefits of the boat. So that's kind of one of the pieces that made me start thinking about actually doing the restoration. Pole's great, tracks well, gets super shallow, And you know, so with that in mind as the basic bones, I did some stuff to design it the way I wanted so it'd be more efficient.
Another really neat aspect of this boat is that this is one of the original technical poling skiffs. In fact, many of the modern boats you see today were designed with some kind of a version of this original style. So Jimmy, listen, I saw the pictures of this boat on the Florida Sportsman forum in the boating section there. There's a really elaborate thread about it. And I really couldn't believe the difference between the boat you started with and the boat that we're sitting on here. I mean, the transformation is remarkable. I mean, tell me about some of the ups and downs about that process.
Well, it's always more money and more time than you expect.
Of course.
You know, that's part of doing a rehab project like this. You just don't know what you're going to get into. Basically, this boat was almost in shambles. For example, there was kind of like a coffin box in the middle. The gunnels didn't really exist. They were like wood.
Right.
The decks were plywood with like carpet. I mean, I ripped everything out of this boat. So fiberglass was everywhere. I had the Sawzall and I was just ripping stuff out. So 30 years of foam, plywood, and just, you know, muck essentially got ripped out of this boat. I could have filled a dumpster.
You had to have some type of artistic vision here to go from A to B to get to this from what it started out as.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I sketched a bunch of stuff out. I actually went to a Maverick dealer at one point, had the two boats side by side when I first got this, and that was part of the vision. You know, it was blue on blue just like this one, and that's really the look I wanted to go for. I really like the side console because the way I fish and the size of the boat, I think it gives you the most flexibility on space.
Absolutely. I love the side console configuration. Perfect.
And I wanted walkable
and I like
gunnels.
this too. Not a
know.
console, really. I mean,
Yeah.
technically just a widening of the gunnel there to accommodate that steering and your ram mount and stuff. I mean, it's really slick.
Yeah, and we kept it flat. We wanted it to look classic, so, you know, maybe like an old Whipray or something like that. Just a very simple, old school Florida Keys style skiff is what we were kind of looking to do. I wanted to pull the deck back a little bit and give me maximum front space and storage. So, I mean, there's the two benefits there. So that was one of the cool things about the whole process is I got to really think through each aspect, and, you know, there were some things that I wish I would have thought they're different maybe. As you get in the boat and fish it a little bit, then you start to realize.
Your next one.
You know, my next one.
Tell me a little bit about the motor too. Now that motor was a new motor when you got it too, and you just don't see a lot of two-strokes around anymore, but it's definitely got its advantages for a boat like this.
There's no doubt. I think that was perfect for this setup. Like the whole setup works together really nicely. That was one of the best benefits of the boat. When I first saw it, I identified that. I was like, I love that motor. You know, it's a 52-stroke Yamaha, which they don't make anymore. You know, one of the challenges now with micro skiffs, like we were talking about earlier, is it's hard to get the right engine to get the thrust, the hole shot you want, gas consumption, weight. So all those factors factored in. I think this one's absolutely ideal for this skiff.
At the end of the day, the Banana River Skiff impressed me in every way, both from the style standpoint and performance. I love how this boat turned out. I'd love to have it as my own boat. It was great in every way.
With an initial purchase cost of $5,000. After spending $16,000 in repairs and custom modifications, the cost of Jimmy's Dreamboat comes to a total of $21,000. When we come back, the owner of a classic 18-foot Boston Whaler visits MCU to discuss a full-on restoration and customization project. This segment brought to you by Boat Outfitters, trusted manufacturer of quality marine products.
Luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. As a supplier of over 200 leading boat builders, at Boat Outfitters we understand what it takes to have a successful day on the water. That's why we offer hundreds of tackle storage systems and the ability to design custom tackle centers to your specifications. From plier and leader holders to custom tackle boxes and fillet tables, Boat Outfitters has what you need to customize and organize your boat to your unique fishing style. Is your boat ready? Visit BoatOutfitters.com.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as Brian of MCU meets with Michelle Shearouse to review the details of her classic 18-foot Boston Whaler Outrage project.
So the other day I received a phone call from a woman down in Jupiter, Florida that said she had an 18-foot whaler she was looking to have restored or renovated, fixed up. So she brought the boat up today from Jupiter with her husband and her son. So this is it?
This is it.
Cool.
It's our baby.
Awesome. Well, you guys take good care of this. This isn't that bad.
Well, it's been sitting for a year. We're pretty sure that the foam is sopping wet.
One of the things that Michelle brought to my attention I didn't know prior to looking at the boat was that it actually sank on the boat lift. This particular boat, in the transom, there is a splash well in the back that doesn't allow the water to get out of the transom area where the drain plugs are, so the water fills all the way up to that point. And when it gets to that point, the forward part of the boat where the batteries mounted, everything else, that also fills up with water. The boat basically sinks on the lift. Number one, she's gonna need a fuel tank. The boat's already at the age where it's gonna be time for a fuel tank, but having all that water down underneath the deck of the boat, it's not a good thing. You've got areas I've noticed, like on the floor here,
Yes.
where the deck is actually, the gel coat's cracking and peeling all off.
Yes.
Not to say that the core is going to be bad, but this would all have to get ground out and a layer of glass would have to go back over it to get it all non-skidded. It's not a major problem because you're going to, be taking the tank out of the boat anyway.
Right.
But that's definitely where there's moisture in the foam. It's trying to get out. It's expanded, the heat's getting in there, and it's blistering and popping out. So really, this boat is in need of a complete paint in and out.
So that's a priority item. That's
I would
column
say
one.
it's going to be,
Yeah,
because once we do the tank removal and we do these repairs in the glass and things like that, that's going to be, and these are huge number things.
Right.
So really, I've got to sit down and apply a cost to those things, then you guys can get a reality to where you're at.
Right.
And just for real quick numbers, just to run things by you,
Are we gonna fall over?
you're 10 grand to paint a boat like this.
We figured.
Okay? Now, they did update this boat a little while back with an F-150 Yamaha. Great power package for this 18-whaler. I don't see a big reason to repowering the boat. The engine, the cool thing is, you got that 150 Yamaha, it's a great motor. This thing's run for thousands of hours, so you don't have to dump a bunch of money. A lot of people that come to me, they want to refit the boat, redo it. One of their major expenses is that engine.
Right.
So you guys are going to be able to save on that one. I think they could help their boat out tremendously by applying the money into some of this fiberglass repairs that I see that we've got to do versus doing an engine. The motor's not in bad shape. It's going to clean up really nice. I don't think anyone's going to notice a difference. I'll sit down, I'll run some numbers, we'll put some stuff together, and then you guys can make a final decision on what you really want to do.
Okay, sounds good. You do canvas as well, right?
We do.
And this as well?
Yep.
Right, okay. Sounds good.
All
Can't
right.
wait to see it. Yep,
Cool.
can't wait to see the numbers.
All right, guys. So after talking to Michelle and her husband today, I'm feeling really good about this project. I'm excited. I'd like to do this boat. This thing's going to be fun. The way they want it to look, the way I can make it look, I know we can work together and really come out with something nice. The only issue is the budget. It's always the budget. That's what it comes down to. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put some things together for her. I'm going to try to discount this thing best as possible. I want to do this boat for Michelle.
Will Brian get the green light on the Boston Whaler project? Find out when we return. This segment brought to you by Shurhold. Clean and simple.
The ultimate bucket list. Let's start with an ergonomic corrosion-free rope handle. Check. You want a caddy to organize your supplies and lift them out with ease. Check. Add in a bucket grate to elevate wash tools out of dirty water. Check. While you're at it, let's include integrated soap measuring cups. Check. How about a base that won't let your bucket scratch, tip, or slip? Check. Top it off with a secure lid that doubles as a place to sit down. Check and check. The Shurhold One Bucket System for everything on your bucket list. Visit onebucket.com.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as Brian and the crew at MCU go all in on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project.
All right, well, I got those numbers to Michelle on the 18-whaler, and she's a go. She's excited. She wants to get it rolling. I'm excited. This whaler is going to be incredible. I'm going to jump on this thing right away. I'm going to get the guys on it. We're going to start stripping it.
Well, we just received this whaler, 18-foot whaler, and Brian says it's going to be a total refit, but we need to get the boat up here and inspect it and just see how bad it is. From a distance, the boat really don't look that bad, but as you get closer to it and get on board, you see cracks here and there, structural damage. The wiring was, not that bad, but it wasn't that great. So my job is to get this boat stripped down as quick as possible so we can do evaluation of the fuel tank. Other than the engine harness and the engine, that's about the only thing that is going to be going back on this boat. So I just stripped it like I stole the boat, I left it a shell, and it's pretty fun.
And just as I had suspected, the fuel tank in this boat, being that the water was over the top of it for so long, and then it never really dried out of the compartment, it started to corrode the tank really bad. So when we yanked that thing out, you were able to see all that corrosion. It was a no-brainer that that tank had to be replaced in the boat.
I'm looking forward for when this boat comes back to me, because I know the glass guys and the paint shop, they're going to do an awesome job on the changes that the customer and Brian have talked about doing to the boat. So I'm excited to see what they do, and then that way I've got me a blank piece of canvas, and I get to make artwork out of it.
All right, so now that I had Roberto on the back of the boat, I explained to him how I want to cut the transom knee out of the back. We don't need that splash guard protector anymore. I don't like the idea that water can get in the forward part of the boat and not get out if the bilge pump wasn't working or something. So we've eliminated that altogether. I came up with this great idea to put a bilge down in the boat. I hate the idea how these small whalers never had bilges inside of them. You can't mount through-hull transducers. There's nowhere to run wiring. It's a real pain in the butt. So I'm gonna cut this area out. I'm gonna reinforce the transom with some knees. I'm gonna tie them down inside of there, and I'm gonna give Michelle this great bilge access area to where she can have a pump down inside there. If she wants to have a through hull for a live well down the road, she can do it. Most of all, she's gonna be able to have a through hull transducer instead of those transom mounted transducers that spray water all over the outboard engine.
Brian bring this 18 feet Boston whaler that he wants me to do a bilge. We bring an old hatch that used to be from another boat, so we can take the measurements. That's the hatch we're going to be using on the Boston whaler. We're going to have to make cuttings on the floor so we can dig all the foam out, the bilge area. Digging the foam out is very messy. We use a salt saw with a long blade, so we can use like a shovel and do like big chunks of the foam and be easier. The rest we just grind it. Then I'm gonna have to make my knee braces for the transom to support the weight on the motor. It's raw foam, and then we're gonna be wrapping it with glass. I'm gonna have to make a template so I can know the size that we're gonna be using and then transfer them to the table. The knee braces, we put like 6 laminations, and all the strain is gonna be like on the vertical part, so the transom doesn't flex. So that's why we put like multiple laminations on that particular area. Once we do the last lamination with glass on the bilge, we paint it with polyester gel coat. Then we bring the hatch from a different boat that we got and recess the hatch to the deck. So the hatch is flush with the deck, then we glass it from the top. Once you grind it and paint it, you never know it used to be a hole in there.
Now that Roberto and the guys have the back of the transom on the whaler all wrapped up, it's time to move forward on the boat. And I mean literally forward towards the bow. We've got the console area we got to work on. There's an old smash repair up in the bow that they've got to get fixed. As soon as they get that stuff done, we'll be ready to put the tank in the boat.
Next week on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Brian and the fiberglass crew at MCU continue grinding and glassing on the 18-foot Boston Whaler project. Part of the MCU team heads for blue water, skipping out for a day of tournament fishing. And FS Boating editor George LaBonte heads out with Emma Thomas aboard her custom runaround to discuss how she fully restored the boat from the ground up. Next time on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.